Good afternoon, everyone. So, Virgo, listen. I need you to actually listen right now, not just hear. What is moving toward you has a quality I want to make sure reaches you correctly. Take what resonates, leave what doesn't. Subscribe if this already has a face in it for you. Here we go. There is a before. Before the thing arrives, there is always before an atmospheric condition, a quality of the air, a specific texture to the way the world around you feels in the hours and days preceding something that has enough mass to affect the space before it reaches you. Most things don't have this. Most things arrive without announcement, without the specific weight of their approach being felt in the field they move through. They just arrive, and then they are there. And the before was indistinguishable from any other before. But some things are heavy enough that the space they move through changes before they arrive in it, heavy enough that the atmosphere registers the approach, heavy enough that the before feels different from other befores, charged, weighted, carrying a quality of imminence that is not quite identifiable as a specific feeling, but that is unmistakably present in the body of someone sensitive enough to feel the difference between ordinary air and air that something significant has already begun to move through. Someone heavy enough is approaching you. You may have been feeling the before of it without being able to name what you were feeling. Coming strong, not loud. This is the first correction the title requires, because strong and loud are consistently confused in a culture that conflates volume with force. The loudest things are often not the strongest. They are the most anxious, the things that need noise because they do not have enough mass to make themselves felt through presence alone. They compensate with volume for what they lack in density. Strong things do not compensate. Strong things do not announce. Strong things move with the specific, quiet, unstoppable quality of something that has sufficient mass to alter the space around it without effort and without sound. The gravitational field of a planet does not announce itself. It simply is, and everything within it responds, and the planet continues moving with the same indifference to acknowledgement that all genuinely massive things share. The strength coming toward you is that kind. Mass rather than volume, density rather than noise, the kind of strong that is felt in the body before it is seen with the eyes, that registers as a shift in the quality of the pull you feel in a certain direction, that produces not excitement exactly, but something more fundamental than excitement, the specific cellular precognitive awareness of something significant in proximity, something whose field you have already entered even if the thing itself has not yet arrived at the visible distance. You have entered their field, and their field has entered yours. What I have never seen, not the arrival of strong feeling that is common territory, not the arrival of someone who wants you intensely, that too familiar, not even the specific combination of those two things in a person who has decided to move toward you without apology or equivocation or the careful management of what they show. Those things happen, have happened before, will happen again. What I have not seen in quite this configuration is the alignment. Whew! The specific, rare, requires multiple conditions to be simultaneously true alignment of timing and readiness and the right person carrying the right kind of feeling in the direction of the right version of you. Not just any version, the version you are right now, the one shaped by everything you have been through, the one that has the specific hard won, you only get this by going through the thing depth that the previous versions did not have. The version that this person is responding to, not abstractly, not theoretically, not because of surface qualities that any number of people might share, but because of something in your specific depth that corresponds to something in their specific depth in a way that the word attraction doesn't quite capture, and the word compatibility undersells, and the word love might be accurate if you let it be. The alignment between what they are carrying and what you are ready to receive. That is what is unprecedented. In all the configurations I have seen in your field, and all the people who have approached and the people who have retreated, and the feelings that arrived and the feelings that dissipated, this is the first time the alignment has been this complete, this mutual, this structurally sound, this built from things that will not dissolve when the initial intensity settles, because they are built from deeper material than intensity, from recognition, from the specific, mutual, this is real and we both know it recognition that is the foundation of something that can actually last. The strength of it from their side, they have been managing this. That is the first thing to understand. The coming strong is not recklessness. It is the end of management, of the specific, sustained, resource consuming effort of someone who has been trying to keep what they feel for you at a size that they can function with, that they can move through their days around, that they can maintain the ordinary structures of their ordinary life in the presence of, without the ordinary structures being constantly disrupted by the fact of how much of their internal landscape you occupy. The management failed. Not catastrophically. No one is in crisis. No one is undone. No one is behaving in ways that suggest the kind of overwhelming that erases the self. But the management failed in the specific, quiet, this is no longer sustainable way of an effort that has been running too long at too high a cost. The effort of keeping something this size at a manageable size consumes resources, attention, the specific quality of presence that has to go to the containing rather than to the actual living of a life. And at some point in some private hour, through some accumulation of private moments, the assessment shifts. The cost of containing is compared to the cost of not containing. And not containing wins. Coming strong is what not containing looks like. It is the release of management, the decision, conscious or metabolized into action without quite being made consciously, to stop spending the resource of containment on something that has outgrown the container, to let the feeling be the size it actually is, to move toward you at the speed that corresponds to the actual intensity of what they carry, rather than the managed speed that the attempt to appear measured had been producing. They are moving at the actual speed now. What you will notice, not the grand gesture. Stop waiting for the grand gesture. The grand gesture belongs to the theatrical version of this kind of intensity, to the movies and the television and the cultural script that says big feeling must announce itself through big action. Real intensity does not always produce big action. Sometimes it produces very specific, very targeted, very dense action, the kind of action that is small in its external dimensions and enormous in its meaning, the kind that requires you to be paying the particular attuned, This is different from the ordinary signals, quality of attention to notice. So pay that attention. Notice the specific way they orient toward you in space, the way their body arranges itself in your direction without their having consciously arranged it, the involuntary, the predecision, the before they know they're doing it, of someone whose gravity has been reorganized by your presence. Notice the quality of the silence when it occurs between you, whether it has the comfortable quality of two people who do not need to fill space, or the charged quality of two people who are both aware of something that has not yet been spoken. Notice the specific, precise, too accurate quality of what they say about you when they reveal something that suggests they have been paying the kind of attention that is only paid by people who are paying that kind of attention. Notice when something is said that only someone carrying this much could know to say. That is the coming strong in its quietest and most undeniable form. The never seen anything like this part, it belongs to the quality of the energy, not the quantity of the feeling. Quantity of feeling is common. People feel enormously all the time, feel things at intensities that overwhelm them and reorganize their days and produce the familiar dramatic arc of infatuation and longing and the complicated aftermath of feelings that arrive faster than the situation can accommodate. That is common. That is not this. What is uncommon is the quality. The specific, this is not only feeling quality of what this person is carrying toward you, the way it has the heft of something that has survived testing, that has been put under pressure and not dissolved. That has been asked by time, by the ordinary friction of whatever has occurred between you or around you, whether it was real, and has answered each time in the affirmative. What is uncommon is that the feeling comes with history, comes with the specific weight of something that was there before it was convenient and remained after it was tested and is still here now in the form of someone who has stopped managing it and is moving at the actual speed of it toward you. That combination. Whew. Feeling plus history plus the specific refusal to continue managing what has outgrown management. That combination is what I have not seen arrive in quite this form before. It is the combination that produces not infatuation, not the urgent heat of new wanting, but the specific, rarer, harder to generate and impossible to fake quality of something that intends to stay. This one intends to stay. Your side of this, because the coming strong arrives at someone, arrives into a field, arrives with the specific, irreversible, now it has entered this space quality of something that has crossed into territory that changes by virtue of what entered it. And the territory is yours, your field. The specific configuration of who you are and what you are carrying and what you are ready for, which we have been discussing across readings, which has been developing in the direction of readiness across the period you have been in that territory, is what this is arriving into. How do you receive something that intends to stay? Who? Not by gripping it. Gripping is for things you are afraid of losing, and things you are afraid of losing are things that have not yet settled into the knowledge that they belong. What is arriving does not need to be gripped. It needs to be received at its full size, which means without the automatic undersizing that protection applies, without the reflexive management of your own response to prevent overinvestment, without the specific caution of someone who has been disappointed before and has learned to keep something in reserve just in case the thing they are receiving turns out to be smaller than it appeared. Stop keeping something in reserve. This is the instruction. Not for all situations, for this one. For the specific, unprecedented, never seen quite like this arrival of something that has survived its own testing and arrives with history and intends to stay. For this one, what is required is not the managed reception of someone protecting themselves against possible disappointment. What is required is the full reception, the one that costs something, the one that requires you to risk being exactly as affected as you actually are, rather than the carefully managed version of that. Be exactly as affected as you actually are. The miracle of weight. Most things that move toward people are lighter than they appear. They have the surface quality of substance without the interior density. They look heavy from a distance and are discovered in proximity to be hollow, to require your energy to feel substantial rather than possessing their own. The relationship that collapses when you stop maintaining it. The feeling that needs your reciprocation to survive. The person whose intensity depends on uncertainty to sustain itself and diminishes in proportion to how settled and secure the relationship becomes. What is coming toward you has its own weight. Does not require you to make it heavier. Does not need the specific, exhausting, nobody talks about it labor of being the person who supplies the gravity in a dynamic that would float away without your continuous input. It has its own gravity, its own density, its own reason for being here that does not depend on your responsiveness to generate itself, that was already here before you responded and will remain after, that is moving toward you, not because you called it, but because it was always going to move in this direction and has finally reached the speed that corresponds to its actual mass. You do not have to be responsible for this one. Whew. It is already here, already real, already moving at its actual speed. You only have to be present for it, to receive it at its actual size, to let the weight of it, the specific, unprecedented, never seen anything like this weight of something that has survived its own testing and intends to stay, to let that weight land where it is arriving, which is here, with you, in the territory of your specific, ready, hard-won, finally corresponding to what it actually needs to receive this life. Virgo, something is moving through the before of your days right now. Heavy enough to have changed the air before it arrived. Strong enough to have been felt in the field before it was visible in the space. Real enough to have survived everything that tests real things and arrived still intact, still carrying its original substance, its original intention, its original specific to you and no one else orientation. I have not seen this configuration before. The alignment between what they carry and what you are ready to receive, between the feeling that survived its testing and the person who has been shaped by hers into exactly who can receive it, between the strong coming and the ready receiving, between them and you. Right now, in this before, that is already becoming the during. Feel the field change. They are already in it.